and welcome to Ask Me About K-Pop, the essential guide for recent conference and season fans alike. My name is Shannon.
And I'm Angelica.
And welcome to our KCON 2023 concert recap episode. We have 3 nights of concerts to try and tell you about. And man, I'm even more tired than I was a minute ago.
I know, right?
I'm
just thinking
so
about
much.
having to go through, like, we're literally just going to sit here and talk, but just thinking about reliving 3 nights of concerts, which put us dead on our feet for like 14 straight hours afterward. We can do this.
We can do this.
We can do it.
Okay, so Friday night concert, as we started to describe in the regular episode, we were in the premiere section, which is like a P2 level, and we were on the like near a corner-ish of the like quote unquote back of the middle stage.
Yes.
And as is tradition, Alex Reid came out to start things.
Yep. She is always or at least she was last year, the pre-show host. So she came out and she introduced our first pre-show performer, who was Kevin Wu in his photobomb outfit,
Yes.
a black and white and blue racer jacket with a mesh shirt.
Yes.
And he sang his latest song with all of his backup dancers. And then after that, we had a guy. Did you want to say anything else?
Oh, I wrote down, I believe the song is called Feels So Good. At least that's what he was saying a lot. So
Great. Yeah, I only have like some song title names. But next up, we had a soloist named George, who was a K-pop R&B singer who's been covered by artists like Jungkook and Joy. And he's done a lot of OSTs.
Yeah, I knew him because he has a song on the Yumi Cells 2 OST.
Yeah, and I think he was there in partnership with CJ Entertainment, which is like one of the main sponsors of KCON. So he was just like a regular dude in a long sleeve tee, all alone on the stage, and sang a song called like Bus. I'm on a bus.
I thought he was saying I'm on a boat, like
yeah.
the Lonely Island song, but I don't know.
Maybe it was boat. But anyway, very 90s feel, very, very smooth. And he did 2 songs, and people seemed to know the second I'm on a bus / boat one. Then we had Limelight. This was a 3-member girl group who came out wearing sailor outfits with 4 backup dancers.
And their sailor outfits even had the little jaunty sailor caps, which I was so excited about.
Yeah, they did. And
I love nautical theming.
Yeah, you sure do. And a girl behind us screamed, "Every song of theirs is so good!" But they only performed 1 song. And then we had 8-Turn as another opener. And the girl behind us also knew these guys. This was an 8-member group wearing a lot of tank tops and jorts, some super long past the knee shorts with high socks.
Those
like boys
were
I went to high school with.
Moment this like whole weekend. So many of the idol boys were wearing like the biggest, longest shorts
with like the high white socks. Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what the name of the song was, but I did write down that it had the lyrics super duper and that it was loud.
I think it's called Excel.
Great.
Because I was Shazamming everything that I could, and that's what I wrote down. And my only other note for 8-Turn is that after, when they were introducing themselves, one of the members, who was clearly Australian based on his accent, said, "Y'all are crazy as hell, aren't ya?"
Yeah, I have that down too. Aussie AF quotes, "aren't ya?" And then my only other note about the pre-show is that there were just so many Samsung shout outs, because Alex has to finish it by like literally reading ad copy, and it's a very awkward moment every time. And then we began, and we started out with WayV.
Yeah, WayV came out first, which was crazy to see them first. And Angelica immediately noticed and screamed, "Is Win here?"
Yes.
And then we started freaking out because Win was there. And as somebody who asked me when I commented something similar on a wavy TikTok, what do you mean? Has Win been on hiatus? And the answer is like, no.
Technically,
but he,
no.
Like has so many more like jobs in China and is on TV shows and dramas and doing other things. So Win is missing from promotions very often. So it was really exciting to see him.
Yeah, especially because their last release, Phantom, if I remember correctly, he's in the music video, but he wasn't in any of the music show stages. So we got to see, well, this was later on, but it was very exciting to see him because we haven't actually seen him like live performing with the rest of the group in a while. But they came out and they only did one. They had 5 members. KCON was not there because he recently got into a motorcycle accident. But they came out and we believe they did the Papia song.
Yes, they did the song, which we heard for the first time last year, performed by ATEEZ, and this was the quote official song of KCON because last year in a similar Kwangya way they were trying to set this motif of KCON exists in a magical land called Papia.
Yeah.
So they sang the official Papia song and then they went away.
Yes. And then we had like a VCR with like FaceTimes from today's lineup, like a little FaceTime video of them being like, "Are you ready? We'll see you soon." And then we had Jang Won Young from IVE come out as our first MC. And she came out from the center of the floor wearing the most beautiful blue halter dress with a little bow on her collar. And she was introduced as like a 4th gen idol. And I thought she was pretty stiff, to be completely honest. I don't know what it was about like reading off the teleprompter that first day, but I thought both her and Alex were very stiff and a little awkward throughout all of their scripted lines.
Not everyone can be Bang Chan.
Not everyone can be Bang Chan. That's the real lesson of KCON 2023. But anyway, our first official
real
performer of the lineup
performance
was NMIXX, and we got video member intros, and then they entered through like the staircase, like on this, like, you know, in the crowd, in very normal like mall girl 90s clothes with like baggy pants and striped shirts and like little braids, and I believe their first song was called Party O'Clock. That's what I wrote down.
Okay. I was in the bathroom during this.
Okay,
that
great.
was my note, was that I had to run and go to the bathroom.
Great. So I'm going to gamble
one.
and say the first song that they played was Party O'Clock. And then they introduced themselves and the song, which is why I must have written it down. And they had 2 English speaking members. And then did they do a special stage? Or did
I
they
have
just say that they
next
did?
special stage.
Okay, I also wrote special
But
stage.
then my only note is I might have to look this up later. Shazam is not returning results, but they keep saying so incredible.
Okay, great.
That's all I have.
Love it. Next,
My
all I
memory-
wrote was special stage.
My memory
so-
is getting so fuzzy now.
my brain is oatmeal at this. I'm literally just going off my notes. I got nothing else to give you.
And I made my notes so sparse because I was like, I'll remember.
No, you won't.
Okay, but then it was CRAVITY's turn.
Then it was CRAVITY, and I think I went to the restroom because my note says I came back in the first song, parentheses, groovy.
Yes. Okay. So they did like a dance intro, like some kind of instrumental, cool dance intro, then blackout. And then they did Groovy, which I was dancing so hard through because I really love that song. And then after their Groovy stage, they announced that they will be having a comeback on September 11th. So everybody seemed really excited about that because that seemed like breaking news.
Yeah.
And then they did a song called Baddies.
Yeah, I have that written down too. My only other note says that crop top with mesh under tucked in and long shorts is a cutie patootie. That's all I got.
So if anybody knows who that is,
Let me know.
then we cut to Taeyong from NCT was in the audience. giving a little speech, and I wrote that he said that he was so lonely and he wanted to see our faces as soon as possible.
Yeah, because he was here all by himself.
Oh, that's why he was lonely.
Because
okay,
he was like, I'm here all by myself. And I wrote, good job practicing that English, BB. Good job. Because he definitely practiced his lines very hard. And they have a note that says the fangirl behind him is holding an NCT light stick with a photo card of Taeyong in her phone, and she was literally hugging herself in tears the entire time he spoke. Then we got WayV for fucking real this time.
Yes.
That's what my note says, filled with typos. And the very first thing they did was the English version of Love Talk, which every single person in the crowd was singing every single word, and it made me emotional.
So great. It was so great. It was one of those like very incredible like human synergy moments, and like I felt so part of everything, and I was so happy that I was looking at WayV and that they were hearing us sing, because I feel like they are the most neglected NCT unit, and it was really nice that they got to hear that. They got to hear everyone sing their song at them.
And like, we know every word. Like, we care. If you give us an English song, god damn it, we'll learn it. And I wrote that Yang Yang covered KCON's lines, which was very impressive. They like all did a really great job. They absolutely killed it. And then they played a game called CCCV, which is like Control C, Control V. So basically, you like one of the members would come up and be on camera, and then the like camera would find someone in the crowd, and the person in the crowd needed to do a pose, and then the member would copy it.
But most of the people would just freak out and cover their mouths and laugh, so then the members would cover their mouths and like imitate them. And there was a fun sweet moment where they did like a 2 members and 2 people in the audience, and after they finished, Ten was like, those girls, we met them at the fan meet earlier. Like he recognized them,
which was so cute. And then I have that they did Phantom, which is their latest comeback. And my only note I have 2 notes for Phantom. The first one is so much thigh Yang Yang, because he had rips in his pants that went up very high. And then my last note just says in all caps, sing it, Xiaojun, that's fucking right. And that's all I have for WayV, because they only did 2 songs. Heartbreak emoji.
Yeah.
Then we had IVE. They appeared from below the stage, 3 in the middle, and then 3 at the like ends of the runway. And they were wearing denim skirts, white tees, black vests, like deconstructed schoolgirls.
I wrote that they looked like me going clubbing in 2009 with their little vests on.
Yes. And I have that the first song they did was called Kitsch, Kitsh. And then they did, each group would do one song and then talk and introduce themselves, and then
turn around to the other side of the stage.
Do the other side to do their second one. So they introduced themselves, said it was their first time in LA, and then they turned around to do Love Dive,
which was great, and everybody was really singing the ooh part. So like that was very fun, and shouting the like Love Dive. That was good to see live. I love the choreo of that one, and I was glad they were facing us for that part.
That I loved that song's choreo. I thought it was so fun. I think I gave it an award. But anyway, then we got a special stage of Baby Don't Stop.
Yes.
So we had 10 in an unbuttoned, sparkly nip slip top and leather pants. And then Taeyong had sparkly pants and a like plainer black button up. And my only note is that they killed it.
They did kill it. My note says, wow, so hype. This is the best. Because I feel like everyone was just absolutely freaking out. Yeah. Because obviously this song is like the best. Getting to see it is the best. Mm-hmm. And I also do think that it cannot be discounted, like the impact that Super M had in their very short time of existing. Like, I feel like there are so many people that are K-pop fans or are fans of the members of Super M because of Super
100%.
M. And at all the Super M stops, they also did Baby Don't Stop. So like, I don't know, that just feels like a thing that everybody knows and loves and appreciates. Mm-hmm. And it was nice to see it again. What a blessing that I've seen Baby Don't Stop twice in my life.
I know it is a blessing, and it's good every time. So then we got two NMIXX MCs who came out to introduce a Gen Z stage. So this was something that happened each night where I think the premise of the stage was that it was like a 4th or 5th gen group so like the group itself was Gen Z and they picked a song that was popular with Gen Z.
Yes.
And so I believe it was NMIXX who came out and they did The Feels.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The English version of The Feels. And then I have insane typos as I tried to type out Shownu and Hyungwon being next.
Yeah.
And they started out with Love Me a Little and they were wearing like perfect, like very tight leather outfits. And then after Love Me a Little, they played an emojis choreography game where you would see like they would project a series of emojis and then the audience and the members would have to guess the title, and then if they got it right they had to do some of the choreo, and if they got 3 out of 5 then they would get ending fairy moments after their second song. I
thought the funniest part of this, because it just felt so very Hyungwon and Shownu of them to do this, is that most of the groups had like a script, and if they didn't have English speaking members to deliver the script in English, they had like specific Korean to read, and then it was subtitled on the screen, which was almost impossible to read in every instance because it was white. Not they were white and they weren't
in the back
shadowed in any way. But Shownu and Hyungwon started out by like doing a couple of their practiced English lines, like introducing the game, and then they just fully gave up and were speaking whole long paragraphs in Korean. It was not subtitled because it was not in the script. They were just like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Because at one point, Hyungwon looked at, he was delivering his like, we are so happy to be here at KCON. And then the teleprompter went on and he just went, oh, it's so long. And then didn't fucking read it. It was just like, I'm not saying none of that. Like, sorry for that or good for you, but I'm not reading that.
But I'm not reading that.
But I did write down that the emojis they did were alcohol free, hot 17, tomboy, and then one of the emojis was just a vibrating phone. And Hyungwon said, "Oh, it's Shownu's chest." And then they did shootout.
Yeah.
And then the last one was afterlike. Mm-hmm. And then they did a 2-member version of Who Do You Love?
And when they said that they were doing that, we just started screaming. And I said, what year is it?
Yes.
Because the last time we saw them do Who Do You Love, there were 7 members of Monsta X.
Yeah. And my only notes, I have 2 notes for Who Do You Love? And they are, number 1, goodbye, I have perished and ascended. Number 2, Shownu, you are so fine, period. There's a period at the end of that sentence.
Yeah, that was really great. I thought it was really cool just to hear like Shownu basically like sing almost the entire song. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Who Do You Love is a really honey heavy song.
It is.
And so it was just like very interesting to hear a different voice like sing the song. But my only gripe is that Who Do You Love minus the French Montana verse is a famously short song.
Yes.
So like that was my only sad. I was like, oh, you picked like the shortest song possible.
I know. And they put out a whole EP. They could have done just like a B-side off of their own EP.
And I was surprised because KCON had posted like teasers on the Instagram of like special stages and things that people were doing. And the like teased thing for Shownu and Hyungwon was that they were going to do Wildfire.
Oh,
and they didn't do Wildfire.
That's right. I remember you saying that.
Yeah. So I was so shocked when they said, Who Do You Love? Because I was expecting Wildfire.
Interesting. But I feel like they generally kept it moving in the first concert. Because like we've said, like everybody so far has done only 2 songs. Mm-hmm. And so then after Shownu and Hyungwon, we had some more IVEs come out as the MCs like in the audience, and they introduced a quote legendary performer with hit songs, and the screens had like come down in order to do like a big reveal of someone coming up from the middle, and this was Taeyong.
Wait, I have something to say about this IVE part.
Okay,
so they not only said someone was coming up, but they teased that they would be doing the dream stage soon. But the funniest part of this, and it has like kind of blown up on TikTok and people found the guy, is when they were talking, there was a guy behind them in the audience making the funniest faces. Like he was just like so shocked, and every time they would like do a close-up and he would like make a crazier face, the whole audience was like laughing. So like the girls were going through their script and they seemed kind of confused because everyone was laughing at the guy behind him, but people found the guy, and then he was like, yep, that was me. But there were a lot of very funny every night that there were idols in the audience, somebody behind them was stealing all the attention by making very funny faces. Okay, Taeyong.
So he was hiding inside the screens, and when they lifted up, he was wearing a Chanel jacket with, again, long, glittery black shorts and high Wicked Witch of the East socks because they were horizontal black and white stripes.
I wrote that they were leggings, but I think I wrote shorts over leggings, but I guess they were high socks, or that the shorts were, because the shorts were so long.
They were like capris or like gauchos.
Yes.
And then he just had like a white tank top, and he did Shalala. And he had co-ed backup dancers that were all wearing shorts, a tie, and like a button up and a hat. And I thought that was fun that like all the dancers were wearing the same thing. And then he did a second song that he said was for If You're Feeling Down. And I didn't write down the title of it.
It's called Guando.
Great. But it was pretty cute. I liked it. I liked the second one.
Yeah. And Taeyong's hair was dyed very interestingly, I thought. He has like a sort of mullet right now, and the like top bowl part of it is blue, but the mullet tail is pink.
Yeah, it's pretty. I like it. Very cotton candy.
And next it was the dream stage.
Yes, the dream stage with IVE. So we talked about this last year. This is where fans compete each day of the convention to participate in the dream stage that evening, where a group will come out and they sing and perform one of their songs, and then a huge group of like 40 fans come out, and they mostly they dance like the chorus. They usually come out for like the second chorus, and then they dance like the bridge and the end of the. So there is like a part where like all of the fans, like they either leave the stage or they just stand there through a verse and then they rejoin. But so this was IVE, and they did what is that song called?
I Am.
Big Stage. Okay.
And we had it stuck in our head for the next 2 days.
Yes.
I'm sure you heard in the clip in the last week of the episode when we were walking around trying to talk to people, we were just going, big stage. Like,
but yeah, the fans like joined in for the chorus. They filled it. They filled up the whole stage, which was really cool.
Yeah, they line the whole thing and face outward, so it makes a really big thing. And then all the fans, then they do like ending fairies of like 4 or 5 of the fans. And like, I don't know, these always make me. I wrote it on one of the other nights, but the dream stages make me weirdly emotional, just because I think it's like such a cool, unforgettable like memory and opportunity, and it's like something you can tell your grandkids that you did, and like just the amount, like not only that you're there with your favorite idols, but like the size of the crypto arena and like an audience that big, and like I don't know, it's just like such a crazy wild thing, and I can't imagine what it feels like, but it makes me emotional to watch it.
Same, me too, especially because the fans go so hard on the stage. Like I always watch just the fans during those. And it's so fun. Like every single person is killing it. And I know it's competition, so like they had to be good, but like everything, their face, their attitude, their outfits, like they really come hard on that dream stage, and it's so fun. But then it was time for the last act of the night.
I don't have any more notes. I was not gonna be on my phone. I needed every
only
moment.
Took notes at the end, like afterward, and so I'm just gonna tell you what my notes are, and then we can like talk about it.
Okay.
So the point is, he did 3 songs. Taemin came out from the middle. He did Advice, Criminal, and Move. After Advice, he did like a little mini talk where he tried to read some English lines, but my note says he did not stick to the script. He was wearing a black and white suit with like a harnessy vest piece with a monk collar that he took off during move. So like eventually he was not wearing a jacket anymore. And then my only other note says Angel Perfection. Why only 3 songs? So Taemin came out.
And I was determined this time because the last time I saw Taemin by himself at the Super M concert, I lost all of my function and I was just crying on the ground because I couldn't believe it was happening. So I was like, girl, stay here. Like, just take it in. But we both had our shouting stars, which was so exciting. The only other time I've had a light stick at a concert was at Super M, because even though I think it's totally fine when people take other groups' light sticks to other concerts, like, hey, you paid for it, do it. I couldn't do it. So this is the second time I've ever gotten to use my light stick. So it was fun in the rest of the concert, like waving it. But then Taemin came out. And at first we just grabbed each other and we're just holding each other like for the whole beginning of Advice, like,
oh my God,
just trying to take it in. And then for the next 2 songs, I just was holding my light stick like under my chin, like tight in a ball. I didn't scream. I didn't hoot. I didn't make a sound. I just existed and tried to stay conscious and take it all in.
Yeah, it was so funny too, because like during Shownu and Hyungwon and like even during Taeyong, we were like standing and dancing and hooting and hollering and screaming. And then I just like almost had like an out of body experience where I was like, it must be really funny to like be behind us, because we just went completely still and like the power had been turned off and we just like frozen watched in awe throughout every second of his performance, and it was incredible.
It was so good. It was obviously perfect. He's the best.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see him, and I loved it, and I just felt so lucky to be there. And the thing I loved was in his little talk, he said, instead of saying like, I've really missed you, he said, SHINee has really missed you. And I really appreciated him speaking for everyone that way. And it was so good. And it was really interesting that the light stick were different every night, but that first night was it was a different vibe because 80% of people had either NCT or SHINee light sticks. So the whole thing was like green.
Yeah, it was fun because it was like the first night was green, the second night was white, and the third night was red. So that was like very fun. But yeah, people had like a mix of NCT and specifically WayV, and then of course the Shouting Stars. So it was a very like it was an SM heavy lineup, and then it was like obviously an SM heavy like crowd as well.
Yeah, I feel like so many people, just based on conversations I overheard in line all day and what I saw, that there were a ton of people who were only there on Friday to see Taemin.
Yeah, and then they like didn't come for the rest of the convention, which is fair.
And I don't blame any of them.
Yeah, you were here for Taemin, and he delivered. And then they every year at the end, like, you know, Taemin just like does his like thank you, goodbye, and then instead of leaving, like everybody comes back out. And Taeyong was one of the first people to like come back on the stage because he performed right before Taemin. And I noticed that he like immediately came out and he was holding like 2 selfie stick cameras, and he like gave one to Taemin, and then Taemin immediately passed it off to somebody else, was just like, no, I don't want this. And then he on his own just like went to each corner of the stage and gave like a beautiful like graceful little bow, and then just like waved like so demurely to like everyone in the crowd. And we were laughing afterward about like what a different vibe and persona he has whenever, because he was the most senior artist of that evening, and then obviously he was like the finale. And so like when he is in senior mode, he's just such a different Taemin than when he's with his members and he's the maknae. So it was just so funny to see him being like professional, mature, like idol Taemin instead of our little baby cheese. But it was great.
Fun things that I saw afterward that I didn't see with my own eyes. What I saw on social media afterward was that during Move, all of the artists who were coming out for the finale were in the pit, like waiting.
Yeah.
And they were all just like watching him in awe. I think like it was either Taeyong or a fan who was nearby, like videotaped all of them just like being amazed. And then I also saw a video where Taemin was trying to leave the stage so many times because that is something that he is famous for.
Yeah.
He does not like encore stages. No. He wants to get the fuck off. And so somebody got a video of he would make the loop and start to walk down the stairs and somebody would be like, no. And then he'd like go make another loop. He tried to leave so many times and they wouldn't let him leave until the like whole thing was over.
Poor baby.
And then there was another very sweet moment.
He just wants to leave.
He just wants to leave.
We do the same thing.
Yeah. That Alan from CRAVITY is a very big fan of Taemin. So I saw a really sweet video where he was very respectfully trying so hard to like get his attention so he could say hi to him, but he didn't like really want to. So he was just kind of shadowing him like 6 feet behind, walking around the stage, like trying to wave to fans, but mostly keeping his eyes on Taemin. Like, can I get close to him? Can I get close to him? And then when they finally all lined up for like one last bow, his members like pushed him like right next to Taemin. And then as soon as Taemin sort of looked next to him, he folded his arms over his chest and he said, I'm a really big fan of yours. It's so nice to meet you. And like Taemin just went, oh yeah, sure. Thank you. And like, oh my God, you could just see on his little face that it was the greatest moment of his entire life.
Sweet baby. I love moments like that. That's so sweet. I love it. I love it.
So that was Friday.
That was day 1.
All right.
Day 2 started again with Alex Reid, this time in a much bigger dress. And she introduced the Berklee College Dance Performance Team, which performed last year as well. And they came out and did like a very cool dance medley where it was not the same performance they did last year, like a different medley, but the same kind of medley in that they have like this like remix of like 4 or 5 different K-pop songs.
It was like 12 different K-pop songs.
Yeah. It's a whole bunch.
It's so many.
And they do not do the original choreography. Like they're doing their own like modern dance to it. But it's very cool.
But they also like, it was a real upsetting moment was one of the parts of their remix is that they started doing Big Bang, 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 Bang. And they literally cut the song off right before the Bang, Bang, Bang.
Yeah, and everybody had been singing along. Like everybody was. And then we all did like a collective like inhale in order to do Bang, Bang, Bang. And the song cut to something else. And our entire section went, aw.
Because just for reference, we were sitting basically 2 sections to the right than we were the night before. And we were sitting in like 3 rows of only press people.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of in a fun little press box gang.
But yeah, so a bunch of different songs from, Tomboy to Happiness, Black Mamba, that Bang Bang Bang. Like they do kind of like the whole spectrum of,
but they're doing like fancy
newer,
like leaps and
and
like dancing
for sure.
They're very impressive. So many of them make great face. Like,
oh yeah, they're very good. They're very good. And then we had VeriVery, whom Alex introduced as Very. She dropped one of the Verys.
Yes.
But we noted that like a little while ago we saw them.
I thought it was wild. In 2019, they were on the real lineup as part of the concert, and now they've been like downgraded to opener.
To pre-show, which was interesting. And they only had 5 members on the stage. And I wrote that they were wearing like black and white with like chains and leather and mesh. And there was a lot of Korean in their talk that went untranslated and no subtitles, and they only performed 1 song. Then we had CRAXY come out for the next opener, and they had 4 members in like white crop top hoodies with like I wrote bad shorts, but I don't think that's what I meant. Maybe big shorts. I don't know. Lots of backup dancers, and they also did only one song. But I did note that they had a very cute intro where one of the members was like, "You might have seen us and thought, oh, who is that? They're good. We're CRAXY," and it was like very adorable.
Then this night had the classic Asiana Airlines vacation giveaway. And every year, this is the most awkward thing ever. And this was no exception because they like bring out the Asiana like CEO to hand the person like a giant envelope and like take a picture. And it's always just like so goofy.
And every time at the end, Alex just has to be like, okay, bye. And we get them to leave. And it's very silly. But the next thing I have is XG.
Yeah, opening VCR, and then XG came out to do I Am the Best by 21.
Yeah, they did a 2NE1 cover and definitely put their own spin on it, which I thought was fun. It wasn't just a dance cover. I felt like they like put their own, they did it themselves. They were wearing these like baggy pants that had like skeleton legs printed on them and these like neon green tops. And I think after I'm the Best, they did like a dance cover.
I just have XG, I Am the Best, and then Xikers came out.
Okay, great. So then Xikers came out immediately with no transition, and they did a cover of BTS Fire. And I saw that, I think like on the screen, they did it said like Back to Basics. So I think that this was like an opening segment where they didn't like, none of the groups stopped and introduced themselves.
Yeah, it was just like a rapid fire
XG
pre-show.
Came out, and then Xikers came out, and then ATEEZ came out again with no transition. And they did Wonderland,
which we saw them do last year as well because of the like I remembered the swords and the bows and arrows and like all of that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And again, like no intro, no ment, just in and out. And then we got the VCR of the FaceTimes from tonight's lineup. And our MC for this second night was Rain, who came out wearing like a tank top and a cummerbund and like a matador jacket with a little pocket square. And my very first note says reading off the teleprompter is hard because he was also a little stiff and stumbling.
I will say that he really was struggling with all of the English. And we said like, I thought Rain was better at English, and maybe he was when he was making Hollywood movies 15 years ago, and he's probably out of practice.
Yeah, it seemed like it. But he talked something about like the past, present, and future of K-pop, and then mentioned that the Gen Z performance later would be highlighting girl groups. And so then we had our first performance of the evening, which was I. They were wearing like denim, white, and brown. And I had a note that one of them was wearing a baseball cap, and during their first song, he almost knocked it off of his head. And I felt so validated because I often do that whenever I have to dance with a baseball cap.
Shazam couldn't find this song, but they did say that it was a Korean version of like one of their newer songs. And I guess I'll just like take this opportunity now to like discuss this because it felt very like prescient to what we had just been talking about on the show, which was that there are multiple groups in this night's lineup that are not Korean groups that are like making K-pop, and we didn't talk about them specifically in our Is It K-pop Without the K episode, and I don't know why we skipped them. I forgot, but
I think because we just grabbed a list of 10 people.
Okay,
like that's why we were just like, let's just keep it as these. And these groups are a little bit newer. Like I mean,
we saw I last year.
They're still newer than the other groups that we talked about. I mean, that statement was not false. They're still newer than the groups we talked about in that episode or whatever. But like I and XG and JO1 are groups that have, I think, entirely Japanese like not casts but members
and companies and like but they do sing and speak. I mean, not XG, they do everything in English, but I does their songs in Korean, and we saw a VCR of them later where they were like playing a goofy game and they were all speaking Korean in the thing. So like they clearly have like learned it. And like they make songs in Japanese, but I don't know. It's just like an interesting thing that I still don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I brought that up. My brain is too dead to try to have an
No, it's
intelligent
okay.
point.
But it is interesting that like, yeah, it's almost just like, I guess it's kind of the idea of like K-pop groups like TVXQ going to Japan and making like J-pop.
Right.
And then now we're having like, they're not necessarily, it's a little different because they're not J-pop groups that are then coming to Korea and making like K-pop style music, but it's like Japanese groups that are making K-pop specifically. So there is, and there always has been a lot of crossover between the Japanese and Korean music markets. So I feel like of all the countries to like send full groups, it kind of makes sense that it would be Japan. But yeah, worth mentioning, I is a group where they're fully Japanese.
I also thought that the song that Shazam couldn't find, I thought it was really fun. I definitely wrote down that I thought that the song was fun, and they were like dancing so hard, and they had one member who was like blonde and wearing like one glove and like a tank top, and like something about his face when it was moving fast, I was like, does he look like Hwanwoong from One Us? When they showed him still, he didn't, but like I thought he did for a second. But he had like very like Dawn vibes in the way that he danced, like lots of whipping his head around and like dancing really hard. And like, yeah, they were like bringing it. They like bring it very, very much.
Yeah. And they did a second song. They did a B-side that was called Drop, and they said it was their first time performing it. And that was also very fun to watch, like super wild choreo. It was a good time. And then we had Kepler with no introduction. They just popped up from the center of the stage, and they were wearing black and white, like pinstripe looks. They looked so grown up.
I wrote they look so pretty.
And they, what was their first song? Giddy was their first song. And then they went and they greeted both sides of the stage, and they could not believe how high up the seats went. But they were very excited to be back.
And then they did Back to the City, and it was so cute and so good that I started tearing up at the end, because that song is just, I don't know. There's just like something about that song that like gets to me. And like, I don't know, they just looked so pretty and cute, and they were nailing it so hard.
Yeah, and that one was a little more like fan servicey, where they would just like kind of like an encore stage, like go to the edges and like sing at the crowd, and then they would do like sometimes like just the chorus choreo or something. And then after Kepler, we had 3 Zerobaseones come out as the MCs, and everybody lost their minds.
There was a girl behind us. I wrote down that I was worried that she was going to like pop blood vessels in her eyes, because the way that she was screaming was like a level that like felt like scary and unhealthy.
Yes. Yeah. 1,000%.
It was not like a woo. It was a like, I don't know. It was
wail.
Wild.
Yeah. Guttural scream. And they introduced XG, who we had not yet seen at the KCON stage. So this was our first time seeing XG. They came out at the beginning with that To Anyone cover, and then now they were here with these like red, white, and black like checkered racing outfits, and so many backup dancers. I wrote that there was like a whole crowd on stage. And their first song was a pre-release called TGIF. And my note says that they have incredible stage presence, like excellent faces at all times. Like they knew how to be on at every single second of that stage, whether they were in the center or having lines or not. They were performing, and it was great.
My note is that they are extremely cool. That was like the one thing I took away from it, is like I don't particularly like love all of their music that I've heard. I think Left Right is really good, but that's kind of the only one that's like my vibe. But like,
and they did not perform that.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. They're very cool.
Like they're cool. And my other note is sorry for not covering them in EP 256, because there was a lot about that in the Discord. And like, I'm sorry, but it was presented to me when I learned that XG was a thing. Like I saw somebody being like, they're not really K-pop, they're Japanese and they sing in English. And I was like, well, there you go.
I literally never saw anything about that. And like the only thing I'd seen from them was Left Right. And I thought they were Korean. Like I didn't know they weren't, they were K-pop question mark. I had literally
I had
no idea.
But either way, they were slaying.
Yeah,
and they
very
impressed
cool.
the shit out of me.
But they only did 2 songs because, like I said in the convention episode, they were originally just supposed to be on the convention floor on Sunday. So then they came out on this Saturday night to cover for 50/50, and they just did 2 songs, whatever the first one was, and then
TGIF.
they did TGIF, and then they did the one that they do with chairs.
It's called Girl Gang.
There we go. So that's what they performed. And then we had Xikers, who originally I thought they were going to appear out of the middle because the screens came down, and then like 2 of the rappers just appeared in the audience instead. And then the like other 5 members were just on stage, like waiting for the rappers to finish and join them. But it was just an introduction like song. It wasn't a full track.
Yeah, my only note is that there is a member of Xikers that has the smallest voice I think I've ever heard. Like G-Dragon on Helium.
Yeah.
I was
His
like,
voice was
whoa.
tiny. It was shocking. But the first song they did, my note says that it was both melodic and very heavy bass. And I think the main line of the chorus was "We're Flying." That's what I wrote down. And then the second song they sang was called "Do or Die" because they introduced it. And yeah, it was very loud.
My only note was that I felt like I couldn't get a grasp on the Xikers songs. And I don't know if it was just that the bass is so loud or if their music is like odd and NMIXXy and that like the genre switches 4 times. But like, I just felt like I could never just like get a grasp on like what was happening, like what was the beat and what was the melody. Like I just felt like kind of confused by all of the Xikers songs.
Yeah, the bass was really loud and they had a ton of fans in the audience.
Yes.
Like they were very loud. So even just being able to make out the songs over the screaming was a challenge, and I feel like my auditory processing isn't good enough to be able to like pick out what was happening in a song I'd never heard before over those kinds of acoustics. So that was Xikers. And then we had 2 ATEEZs come out to be
Hongjun and
Mingi.
Mingi.
I wrote that down. And they were the MCs like in the stairwell. And they introduced Zerobaseone. And my only note says the inflection of some of these English lines make them indecipherable to me. Yeah. So I didn't really know what they were saying. But Zerobaseone comes out and everybody loses it.
I wrote, I have never heard screaming like this at KCON. Like it was unbelievably overwhelming, the reaction to Zerobaseone. And I know that people watched Boyz Planet and like were excited by them, but like I was kind of shocked by how strong the reaction was to a group that debuted a month ago. And again, I know people get attached to people on survival shows, and so people might feel a stronger sense of attachment to them, but like I found it deeply overwhelming just how much everyone was freaking out.
Yeah, it was shocking. And I have a note that says they got an actual like VCR
like a really
intro.
long VCR intro, and then an instrumental opening where each member got like a full 20-second close-up. Like they were milking this.
Yeah.
And I know that's probably because they are an Mnet temporary group and this is an Mnet show, and they were like making it all about them. They got to get their money's worth in the 2.5 years they have these guys.
Yeah.
But like it was so much more attention than anyone else got at any point of the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And so they came out wearing like black and white suits with a lot of like jacket variations, and they had bedazzled stripes and also numbers just like EXO, like random numbers like 91, 01, 10, 88, whatever. And the first song, I only wrote that they said "All Because of You" a lot.
It's called In Bloom.
Okay, great. And I wrote that it's very nice. I actually like it.
My note for this, which was right when they were in their opening positions, they like had the camera on them and like they were all trying to keep like very serious faces. And then as soon as the lights came up and everyone started like apeshit going crazy, the member who was getting a close up like couldn't hold his serious face. Like he started to kind of like smile. And I thought that that was a really cute moment. But yeah, the other thing that was really wild was, I mean, after the song, then they introduced themselves one by one, which nobody had done at any point in any of the concerts. Like,
yeah, they introduced every single member, which I wonder if they were like told to do that.
Sure. But the other thing that was strange, which I guess is a survival groupy thing, but even though everybody was really, really, really screaming for Zerobaseone, there were like only 3 members who like really got the screams. Like as they went individually, like you could really tell which
was
one
popular.
of these are the popular ones.
Yeah.
And like that was also just like jarring.
Yeah, that was a little strange. But they did do the emoji dance game. And so their emojis were super shy, the S class, that beatbox, that new Jungkook song, and
and that part was funny
yeah.
because when they played the 7 clip, they played the explicit fucking version. And
it was the last line of the clip that played.
And so then the little member who had to like do the little like rehearsed lines after that seemed like he couldn't regain his composure. Like he was like shocked by it. And that was also kind of funny.
Yeah, it was funny. And then the second song they played was called New Kids on the Block. And my note just says, oh no, they're cute. This is cute.
It was cute. I thought that they were like very good. Yeah. I get that's the exciting thing about a temporary survival show group is that all of these people competed very hard and therefore they are the best ones. So it makes for a very strong group. And they were strong and they were good and their music is cute. And then when they left the stage on the screen, there was this little like animation of a slot machine in a like snowy wilderness, and then it like ching 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 like did the little slot machine thing, and then it said like coming soon November album called Our Winter.
Yes.
And everyone was freaking out, and then I looked at Twitter 10 minutes later and it was all over all the news sites like that they had announced. So I think we literally were the first people to see the announcement of this winter album that's coming out.
Exclusive. So then we had our Gen Z special stage, which was introduced through like VCR by Kepler. And in the VCR, we saw them doing like different Girls' Generation covers.
First, they went like around different places in Seoul. It was like Kepler's Seoul vacation tips. And they went to different places. But it was really, my note was that this video was really hard to watch because the subtitles were incredibly tiny.
Yeah,
like
so
even though they
small.
were on a Jumbotron, they were so small. I don't know how anybody could have read them.
No,
they
I
were
certainly
so small.
couldn't. They were impossible. And they did the like Into the New World, Mr. and G, where like a couple members would like go to different places and then like do a little cover dance like of that song.
And it was like, which one will you pick? Or so, I guess people maybe voted,
maybe
or
people
Kepler
voted.
picked. I don't know. The subtitles were too small.
Yeah, so we don't know how it actually worked. But then they came out in like full pants matching suits and red soled pumps, and they did Mr.
And yeah, those stilettos were so high. Like not only high heel, but that the bottom of the toe part also had a big chunky platform. So like they were big old heels.
Big shoes. And then after this Gen Z stage was Rain.
Okay. Now we're going to stop. This is the biggest part that needs to be like fully actually addressed before we finish the concert recap. Because this is the thing that everybody wants to know about. I've gotten DMs about it. It's a whole thing that's happening. And you can have whatever opinion you want, but I will not be gaslit about something that I saw with my own eyes. So to begin, a couple of weeks ago, somebody on Twitter who was not a Cypher fan and was like a Blackpink stan that just wanted to start some drama, told everybody that they needed to Black Ocean Rain at KCON because Rain's latest boy group, Cypher, a couple of the members recently left. And then Rain said something pretty insensitive about how he should have just bought property instead of trying to make another boy group because they're bad investments. And he shouldn't have said that. That's like kind of not a nice thing to say. But anyway, so then there was all this talk of like, are people going to Black Ocean Rain at KCON? And I was like, I don't believe it. Black Oceans take way too much organization and dedication that like, there's no way they're going to be able to pull this off. So I was watching very, very, very carefully when he came out to see if like light sticks would go off. And like, I did not see that. Like, it did not seem like light sticks went off in mass. There was a chunk of the pit that went off, which we saw later because there was a boy at the front of the pit screaming at everyone, turn off your fucking light sticks. So, like, I think people got threatened into doing it. Anyway, but I did not observe any kind of mass protest from my perspective. Like, we were sitting in the middle. I could see everybody. He did Rainism first and everyone was singing it.
Yep, absolutely. Here, listen. It's frustrating only in the sense that you're seeing people like, you know, our own experience and journalists like Tamar Herman who are like posting like, oh, look, like it wasn't a Black Ocean. Like it seemed to be, you know, that the people who were sitting down during his set or like not paying attention were ones who didn't know who he was. And like that was the biggest cause of anything. But like the LED lights of the the screens were darker and like it was like cast in like blue as opposed to Kepler's, which had like pink lights.
Pink everywhere. So it was very bright in there.
But it definitely wasn't a like concerted effort to boo him. And like if there was a concerted effort, it only affected, you know, the 20 surrounding people of the person who was making that effort. It definitely didn't sweep the stadium and it definitely wasn't a Black Ocean. So please use words correctly because words have meaning. And that is not something that has happened in many, many years. And I bet you the majority of people at that stadium don't even know what a Black Ocean is because they've only been listening to K-pop for 2 freaking years.
Yeah. And people being like, but people were sitting down. People were sitting down and leaving during ATEEZ. Like, what is
like,
that? Doesn't
mean anything. Like, yeah, no, people sat down through a huge chunk of that concert. And like, I think that the biggest, and I noticed this when I was like reading through, is that one thing that KCON used to do is that they used to give a lot of complimentary tickets out to the K-Town community, which is something they no longer do. Because one thing that KCON used to do, similar to like the Hollywood Bowl KMF performances, is that they would bring old school acts like Rain or Turbo or, you know, who else have we seen? Like a dynamic duo
a cool
or like
violin guy once.
Yeah. All of these like older kind of random artists that the K-Town community would be big fans of and that they would like stand up and cheer for and get that recognition. But now it's all about selling the tickets to as many people as possible. And so having these older artists that are still there, it kind of gets to be like, oh, who's that guy kind of thing.
Sure.
Or like when there was, well, I guess that's the next night where they did a BoA cover and people were like, what song is this? But yeah, it's just like K-pop is growing and artists that are hugely influential like Rain don't have that same name recognition that they used to. And that's what you're seeing at the shows.
I'm just really bummed out. I just really don't like baseless hate trains. I just think that it really sucks. Like, is Rain a good CEO? Is he good at managing boy groups? No, we've seen like he's not really that good at it. Maybe he's really finally learned his lesson and he won't try it again. But I don't think that is a good excuse to be like really fucking mean to people. Like I saw a TikTok yesterday that really, really hurt my feelings where it was like a girl was documenting that her grandmother and all of her friends had come to KCON to see RIIZE. And the video was about how excited all of these grannies were to see RIIZE. And all of the comments were literally like, fuck your grandma.
Wow.
And being so fucking mean about it. And then I saw another video of a girl being like, I sincerely apologize for dancing during the RIIZE set. I didn't know that we all hate him now. And I was like, if you don't hate him, then you don't hate him.
Like, we don't have to just collectively hate people
into hating. Yeah. And I don't believe that most of the people that are carrying out this hate campaign give a single fuck about Cypher. Because if all the people that were saying Black Ocean Rain had bought a Cypher album, maybe we wouldn't be in this place in the first place.
Or, you know, if they even mentioned Cypher's name in any of their complaints, like that might, you know,
then I might believe
you
them.
might actually, yeah, it's just like, it's very obvious that you don't actually care about the group he screwed over, because not a person is talking about the group themselves. They're just saying, oh, he sucks. But whatever.
Anyway,
people
all of that
believe
just
what they want to believe.
People will believe what they want to believe, but
you heard it here from two people who were there. Nobody Black Ocean, anybody.
There was absolutely not a Black Ocean. I have lots of videos and I can compare side by side. There were the same amount of light sticks on as there were for other stages, because also KCON is a thing where only a few people even have light sticks in the first place. It's not like a Korean concert where like you better show up with one or don't even be here.
Yeah.
Like, so it doesn't, you can't tell if people have them on or not.
Yeah. Totally.
It's not this, the ocean part is missing in the first place to black in it.
Because you don't have that many people. It's so true.
But anyway, let's talk about RIIZE, because I, for one, I was not there to see failed CEO RIIZE. I was there to see legend of K-pop RIIZE.
1,000%. And when he came out at the beginning of the show in his little MC outfit, I waited until it got very quiet, and then I shouted with all of my lungs, "Take your shirt off!" And the two people sitting in front of us like turned around and laughed at me, and I was like, I don't care, I know who he is. And then during his show, he came out with baggy pants and a big jean jacket and no shirt on, because I know who he is. So he did Rainism, The Message, and La La La. Those are the three songs.
Domestic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I heard it as The Message, but it was called Rainism, Domestic, and La La La. Or the La song.
La song or whatever.
Whatever.
Which, yeah, it was, he looks incredible.
Yeah.
He looks incredible. You kept shouting and other people were tweeting like, that man is a father.
Yeah. I also shouted, that man is 40, because during Domestic, he actually took the shirt off.
He took the jacket all the way off.
And then the two people who had laughed at me before turned around and were like, you got your wish. And I was like, I know I fucking did, because it's fucking rain.
And the last time we saw RIIZE, he wore one of those dumb bulletproof vests the whole time.
Yeah, and
so
he did not take his shirt off.
It was great to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then after he took his shirt off between songs, he said, "Oh, I'm half naked up here." And we were like, "Stay naked!" But he put the jacket back on.
Eventually.
He didn't need to.
He did not need to. I mean, Rain, come on. That's what you do.
And yeah, he tried before La Song, he tried to teach the whole audience the la 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 so that everyone would sing it. And they did, and it was fun.
And they did. Everybody did.
It
the
was
call
not
and response
silent or booing. Everyone was having a good time.
Yeah.
Or the people who wanted to have a good time were having a good time.
Yes. Yeah. And I would say that the majority of the people there wanted to have a good time.
I personally wish that he had, and we talked about this with a lot of people in the press room, like everybody wished that he had done different songs.
Yes.
Like Rainism was obviously, he had to do Rainism, but like the other two, like fine. But like, why didn't he do Love Song or It's Raining or even that gang song or 30 Sexy or like something? I feel like everyone would have got like stayed so much more hype if he had done like way more well-known songs. But I also wonder if he's one of those people who's like, I sing those songs too much.
I mean, but he
wanna
did
do my
Rainism, so
B-sides.
like that. I don't know. I just thought Domestic was an odd choice. I feel like the La song fits because it had like an LA theme to it anyway. But yeah, the second one was just odd. But I did joke with one of the photographers who was like, "Why didn't we get Love Song?" I was like, "Because you have to be wearing a shirt in order to do Love Song," and he wasn't doing that. So
that's true.
You can't do Love Song without the shirt to put over your head to body roll sadly onto the floor.
Yeah.
So we couldn't have gotten that one. But, other options. He's got a wide discography. But anyway, after Rain, we had
Zerobaseone Dream Stage.
Yes. So a couple of the members of Zerobaseone came out to introduce it. They were wearing like different bedazzled jackets with like military print style. And my only notes is that one of the fans served their ending fairy and they were very cute. And I saw them outside of the concert at the end of the show.
Yes.
And was like, "You were killing it." Because he was wearing like a pink Where's Waldo outfit.
It was a pink Where's Waldo
really
outfit.
It was really, really cute. And he ate that stage. But then after the Dream stage, did you have anything else for the Dream stage?
No, just my note is just that these make me emotional, but I already said that.
So then we had ATEEZ and they came up from the center of the stage under the screens. They were wearing denim, black and white looks with like bedazzled jackets in all different styles. And at first they just did like a musical intro like you would do at a stadium concert where you just like pop up from the floor and look dramatic. And then they did Bouncy. They did a first song and then they did Bouncy. I think Bouncy was the second one.
Okay, Bouncy's the first thing that I wrote down, but I don't remember.
Then maybe Bouncy was first. Anyway,
either way,
all of a sudden there were a ton of backup dancers who like came out for Bouncy and they were like all wearing, I thought it was interesting because they were all wearing different outfits, like, except they were also wearing a hat and the like hat was supposed to differentiate them. But San was also wearing a hat. So I was like, this is just confusing. There's so many people on this stage now. But I also wrote down, is San wearing a hat because of last year's dye job debacle?
When his hair was dripping down his face.
Because now he was wearing a hat. And like, I don't know. But if I was him, I certainly would never allow that to happen to me again. Anyway, they also played the CCCV game. And then they did a segment called Hi My First, which is something that we didn't get in the Friday night show.
Yeah.
And this was a look back at the stars beginning up to now. So we got a VCR that showed like, their first KCON, their first win,
tour,
their first world tour, and then their first song. And so they came after the VCR, they performed their debut song.
It's called Pirate King.
Yes. Oh, okay. Bouncy had to have been first because I have Bouncy and then the debut and then their third song. They walk around and they just like sang it to the crowd and then they left the stage and like walked up and down the stairs like it was an encore stage. And then they did a fourth song. And I don't know what the title of it was.
I don't know.
But I
didn't write it down either.
They are the first act of the weekend that does 4 songs, technically 5 because they opened the show with Wonderland. So at this point, ATEEZ has the longest set list. And we do always wonder like how they determine what the set lists are. And I will say that the first night seemed to be, like I said, they like kind of pushed through it. Like the first night was the shortest concert for sure because everybody did 2 until Taemin and he did 3 and then boom, done. Like the show was done at like 10. And then this night we got out at like 10:30 and then Sunday we got out at like 11. So every night the show got like 30 minutes longer. So then Rain came back out for like the final emceeing of the night where everybody comes out behind him. And my only note is that Rain doesn't remember how to speak English or where pauses in sentences go.
Yeah, absolutely. My only note that I skipped is that I wanted to note that all of the fans that were dressed like ATEEZ during the day, like really fucking nailed it.
Yeah,
it was the
they
same
did.
thing as last year where there were people in these like very elaborate piratey seeming costumes. And we like talked to a few and they were like, oh, this is like, it's an ATEEZ thing. And then this year, everyone was in like glamorous future cowboy fringe, like so much beautiful fringe and elaborate jackets and crazy hats. And like the ATEEZ fans know how to fucking cosplay as ATEEZ.
Yeah, they
like
do.
they really nailed it.
Yeah, they did for sure.
Okay,
But that's
one more.
it. All
One
right,
more
last
night.
one. Pre-show, again, hosted by Alex. We had the first performance was a 4-member dance cover group whose name I did not write down. It sounded like Valerie or Lori. I don't know.
Valerie, I have no idea. I tried so hard. There was not a. I skimmed every single page of our official program.
Couldn't
checked
find
all
anything.
the KCON socials. Could not find out who this dance troupe was. I wanted to find out more about them, but I couldn't.
Yeah, they slayed.
But
Though.
they slayed.
They were great. Four girls. They did like a medley that was just a dance cover, and the only song that I like recognized well enough to like write down the title was Everglow Done. And then Alex came back out, and she suddenly had this absurd bouquet like pinned to the front of her dress that was definitely not there when she first came out, but whatever. She introduced EsNa, who had been the host of a lot of the meet and greets and the red carpet, and she sang A Little Levin. And then justB came out, and they were introduced as a group that wanted to, quote, make music that doesn't change with the time. And I wrote down that they were wearing black and leather, with one of the members wearing a super off the shoulder sweater that was stunning in the most perfectly slutty way. And one of them was wearing a skirt. And the song that they did, whose name I did not write down, was cute and was catchy and groovy, and I liked it.
I also didn't write it down, but I also thought that.
Oh, no, wait. I do have it down, I think. Okay, they did 2. The first one was called Me Equals Nanan, and the second one was called Reload.
Okay.
And the second one was louder than the first. That's all I got.
All right.
Okay, then we had surprise stage. RIIZE, the new SM boy group. And they were introduced as wanting to show off their own genre of, quote, emotional pop. And they did the same 2 things that they did on the KCON stage, which was the little dance intro, and then they spoke to introduce themselves, and then they did Our Memories. And they have such pretty little voices. Like there are like multiple vocalists in it, and they all sound great. The choreo goes way harder than it needs to. And I just wrote down like, what a fucking way to debut.
Yeah, I thought that they were so good, and I really, like I said in the last episode, that Memory song is really great. And I know that you all know we are not invested and citizens, but I know that a lot of people were really excited to see Shotaro and Sungchan, I believe, like finally be in a real unit and like be in something, and that they didn't get separated and like whatever. They got very, very big cheers when they showed up on the screen. And
But
like,
it is not a NCT unit.
No,
like
it's
just
its
for
own
the clarification. It's its own thing. It does not have anything to do with NCT aside from the fact that these 2 former NCTs are in it.
But yeah, they just seemed like really sweet and sparkly eyed. And I just like said to you, I think out loud, or I thought it to myself, like, damn, like what a like debut experience. Like, I know it's not their official debut stage, but just like thinking about how like pre-debut Shiny would sing at the park and hope that people walked by, and
You know what I was thinking
RIIZE
of?
got to sing at the fucking crypto arena.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I don't think that we actually said that, but that is exactly what was going through my brain at the same time, because I was specifically thinking about this episode of the 17 Project where they had to earn their debut stage by going to a park and performing, and they had to have at least 75 people stop by. Like they were just going to be walking by, and they had to have a total of 75. Like they had to catch 75 people's attention. And then like this is like they're literally performing in front of tens of thousands of people. Wild.
But it was cool. Again, cool to have been there, and I'll be able to say that I was there. And isn't that fun?
Absolutely. So then we had the first official performance of the main stage concert, which was a collaboration stage by Everglow and LAPILLUS. And they were wearing silver and black outfits, but they also had backup dancers. So there were just a ton of people on the stage, and they did like a cover medley.
No, it was just Boa's girls on top.
It was only Boa?
Yeah.
It wasn't more than one?
No.
Oh, okay, fine. But
it was weird because it was like a very different version of Girls on Top. Like it took me a second to recognize it. They only sang like the chorus, and then they cut to, I believe, Chanty from LAPILLUS doing a guitar solo in the corner of the stage.
Pink electric guitar.
And then the rest of it was just a dance. They never sang more of the song.
Yeah, they only did like one chorus at the beginning, and then it was the guitar and then just dancing. So I think that's why I thought it was a medley.
Yeah.
Oops, I just hit the mic. But anyway, so they came out to do that, to open everything up. And then Bang Chan came out from the floor and the crowd goes wild.
Sorry, I'm raising my hand because I want a quick interruption. When they played, before Bang Chan came out and they played the little intro FaceTime call VCR that they played every night of the groups. No, I only wrote it down because i-dle came on their part. They said, "Hi, we're G-idle."
Yeah.
And I felt so vindicated because I've always felt a little bit guilty about calling them G-idle because that's like not their name.
Yeah.
But I knew it would be confusing in an audio only format to just call them idol because like whatever, that's too generic of a name. But that they call themselves G-idle in English, I was like, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Great.
I noticed that too. I didn't write it down, but I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, yeah, then Bang Chan, and he silenced the crowd.
Yeah, no, my note says that the crowd will do anything he says.
Incredible.
Because they were screaming and going fucking crazy, and he just put his finger to his lips and immediately silence. Instant silence, to the point that he like started laughing because I think he was surprised.
I wrote every year he gets more powerful.
Yeah, for real though, like too powerful.
Because I feel like last year we said like, wow, Bang Chan has this whole crowd in the palm of his hands, but like, holy shit, this year he like really did.
Yeah, they'll do anything for him. Okay, first performance of the night, we get JO1, which is, I have learned this weekend, not pronounced joy.
Yeah, we weren't sure.
Anyway, they're wearing jeans and colorful jerseys, shirts and jackets, all mismatching, and they do a super fun and cute song that is maybe called Radio Vision. I like it. And it's off of their new album.
I thought it was so super groovy and fun, and I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, that one was fun. And then they did a song called Trigger, which was louder, and it started with like a Mexican trumpet. And then my note says, "These boys are cuties. Oh, ab flash. One of you is slutty."
I wrote, I missed the ab flash because I was checking Discord because I was checking the Discord because like everyone was talking about where they were sitting or whatever. And then like everyone screamed and I was like, what did I miss? And I guess I missed an ab moment.
An ab flash. Then we had LAPILLUS, and we learned that this group was actually chosen by fans on something called Road to KCON. So I think this must have been some kind of online voting poll where fans got to choose between like 3 or 4 smaller groups who they wanted to come out. So they were wearing these like shiny red sparkly outfits that were like boxer inspired.
They were like very sporty, and I wrote that the Halloween costume plastic that the costumes were made out of was the shiniest material I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. And one of them was just wearing like a huge banner that said LAPILLUS on it, which was fun. But they did 2 songs, What's Next and Hit Ya. And both of them, like excellent choreo, super fun to watch. They do like very athletic, like Who's Next starts with them like in a little pyramid, and they like jump and do a bunch of different stuff.
I was very impressed by them. I thought that they did a great job. It was one of the only things, if you were following along on Instagram, it was one of the only things that I like recorded and put on the gram that night because I was like, wow, they're doing really great. Yes. And then the rest of the concert got too overwhelming and I like stopped filming things.
Yeah. But then we had 2 idols come out for the MCs.
G-idols.
I wrote idol in my notes. And they came out to introduce the special stages. One they said was going to be a special debut of a boys subunit. And then they introduced a woman named Destiny Rogers, who had, I guess, become famous on like TikTok because of a dance cover she did of Blackpink's Lisa. And like she FaceTimed with Lisa at some point. We got like a video that like showed them talking or whatever. And then she has a song called Tomboy. So she came out and she sang Tomboy. And I think this is when you went to the bathroom.
I was in the bathroom. I missed this.
But honestly, this was a pretty awkward stage because one, she was very flat in all of her verses. And two, for some reason, she expected us to know this song.
Oh,
and
no.
she kept trying to get us to sing it. And she would be like, y'all know this. I know you can sing it or whatever. Like, I want to hear you sing, and like turn the microphone to the audience. And like, we did not know that song. Like, not a one person around me was singing along, and it was just awkward. And she was like, thanks for having me, I'm Destiny Rogers, blah, and like said that she was coming out with new music. I'm finally ready to tell my story. And we were like, who the fuck are you? Anyway, she left, and then we got what we really cared about, which was the boys subunit.
So we had Sonu, Hyungjae, Q, Juyeon, and Younghoon. And I believe the song I wrote, Deja Vu ? Because that's what they were saying a bunch.
Yes.
I'd never heard this song before. I don't know if it's on the new album. I don't know if it hasn't come out yet. I don't know if it's somebody else's song. I don't know. I was just fucking freaking out. And my only note was all caps, what a treat.
Yeah, my notes say two things. One, whatever this is, I love, in all caps. And two, groovy, sexy, smooth, and fun with shocking chorus choreo, because the choreography in the chorus has a very silly pelvic thrust where they are basically like fucking in the air and they have like a leg up, and it is slutty.
And Sonu lifted his shirt up.
I didn't have that, but I do know that there are ab flashes later.
Yeah, they kept doing that.
So after our little special treat, we got EVERGLOW, who came out with black leather, sparkles, and lace and cutouts. One of these girls was wearing so
lingerie.
little clothing.
She was straight up wearing lingerie. She had panties, like not shorts, panties, because there was full butt cheeks out at the back, with sheer black tights, which after the first song had so many runs in them. And then
she was wearing
corset top.
She
like
was
it was
wearing
lingerie.
a literal bra, and then over it this like leather lace up corset that laced up the front and the sides with just like, so you could just like see her skin. It was wild.
It was
so
like, wow, I was like, that's the most
so
revealing stage outfit I feel like I've seen in a very long time.
And definitely the most revealing outfit of the entire weekend.
She was
100%.
And in her group too. She was like
she
so
was wearing
naked
so
compared
much
to the other
fewer
members.
clothes. Yeah, 100%. But they started with their 2-day-old song, which is brand new. It's called Slay. Then they did Done and La Di Da. So they did 3 songs.
La Di Da was incredible. It was so great. And I got another like choke up, like, wow, synergy crowd. Because during La Di Da, every single person in that stadium screamed, "EverGlow forever, let's go, ha!" And it was so great.
It was so good.
I hope that they felt so loved.
Yeah.
I just really thought that was really neat because, you know, they're a smaller-ish girl group and they hadn't put out music in a really long
2
time.
years. Yeah, absolutely. So it was very exciting to see them getting so much love. Then I have the two different G-idle MCs.
Soyeon and Minnie came out to like give a speech about underprivileged girls going to school and how
it was a CJ, E&M, and UNESCO spot. Of like them giving money to provide educational opportunities.
But it was very awkward because on the screen, they basically had about 15 seconds of B-roll of girls in other countries at their girls' schools. And it just looped for 5 minutes. And that was
the
wild.
Speech was so much longer than the clip. So it just kept going over and over and over. And it felt silly. But then we had ITZY. They came up from the
Yes.
center wearing all white looks with like one little spot of blue each, like a tie or an armband or a splotch on the pants. And they did 3 songs: Cake, None of My Business, and Sneakers.
Yes. And my note was that, like, now, since I knew that it was the case, I felt like I could tell that Leah's neck was hurt. She was smiling so much in her, like, sweet Leah smile, but I could sort of tell that she was, like, not moving her, like, upper body as much as the others. And then between songs, she kept running off stage and, like, saying something to somebody, and I wonder if she was being like, get my ice packs ready because I'm fucking going horizontal as soon as this is over.
Yeah, there was one point where I think it was Yuna who was talking and she was like, where's Leah? And Leah was like behind them talking to someone. She just went, I'm here, and like ran up. It was very cute. And they did Sneakers kind of like encore style where they just like sang it to the crowd. But I did write that Taeyong cannot help but do the choreography, which was very cute.
Yeah, they were great. That was this night was our 3rd time seeing both ITZY and Stray Kids at KCON. So like, that's very fun and cool to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had the Boyz, and they came up from the center. They were wearing pink, white, and denim cool guy casual looks with hoodies and like open button-ups and t-shirts. A lot of guns out. And I think it was Eric who talked about it being his first time performing in LA, because the last time they went to KCON he couldn't come, and that he'd been waiting.
Their tour, he was on hiatus the entire time they toured last year, so this was his first time, and
so he was very excited to be there. And I didn't write what their first song was.
Lip Gloss.
Oh yeah, of course. That's why, because I was too busy singing and dancing to it. I love Lip Gloss so freaking
they did
much.
Lip Gloss, and it was so great,
so good.
And Hyunjae and Eric lifted their shirts up.
Yeah, they did. They sure
ab
did.
Reveals.
But that was during Thrill Ride.
It was?
Yes,
okay.
because I wrote
the only fucking thing I wrote down in all caps is the boys want me dead.
Okay, I
That's
actually
all
have
I
notes.
have. I couldn't.
So they did Lip Gloss first, and then they talked, and that's when Eric talked about being excited to be here. They played the emoji dance game, and they did Love Shot, for which my note is in all caps, what are you going so hard for? Because they went really hard for it. Then we had Anti-Fragile, Dynamite, Spicy, and Shutdown. And Q nailed every single girl group. He was like the only one who came out for the girl group dances, and he knew them all. Then they did Thrill Ride, where my note says one of these boys has a tattoo, and we realized it was Kevin afterward. And then 2 ab flashes from different members. And then that was it. They only performed 2 songs.
And the bummer that I thought that was a bummer to me was that the whole conceit of the emoji dance game in every night was they would say, if we do it, then we'll all get ending fairies at the end of the next song. And the boys succeeded in their dance challenge. They did not get ending fairies. Thrill Ride ended, and then they blacked out the stage and moved on. And I was like, that's not fair. They worked hard for their ending fairies, and they didn't get them. And then they were just like gone. And I felt like I didn't get to
like say goodbye.
Like, yeah, it ended too fast. And I really thought that, like, I don't know, because to me, maybe I just don't gauge popularity properly, but like I assumed that the boys were possibly popular enough to have gotten at least one more song. Like ATEEZ did 5. So it's just like, can we like spread it out a little bit more? And I know they had the like unit special stage, but I don't know.
Well, it's also just interesting because of like the order of the lineup too. It would make sense if like, okay, like LAPILLUS only did like 1 song. Oh no, even they did 2. But like whatever, like so the groups at the beginning do 1 and then the ones do 2 and then like ITZY right before the boys did 3. So it makes sense for the boys to also do 3. And then if you're going to give like the highlight, like, you know, the final act of the night 4, like, okay, or whatever.
Or even like EVERGLOW did half of Done into La Di Da. So like they did like 2.5. Anyway, I just wanted more boys because I had never seen them before and I was really excited to see them. And everybody was really worried that they weren't even going to make it because they like hadn't left Korea on Saturday.
Because they get there that day, which is insane. but whatever. Especially because we had all those like weather warnings.
Yeah.
But
So anyway, it was good to see them. I love them so much. It was so fun to see them live. I just wish it had been a little bit longer.
But so then we had the ITZYs come out and they introduced the Gen Z stage, which was going to have JO1. So we got a VCR of the members doing this like jump rope challenge and like kind of failing. But again, the subtitles were really small, so we couldn't really like understand.
But I did notice that they were speaking Korean. So I was like, okay, like that's very interesting that like they do that.
Yes. And so then they all up on top of members to start. I don't know what that means. Oh. They were doing, because they did the newest 17 song.
Super.
Yes. The like, I love my team. I love my crew. Whatever. But that starts with Woozy like sitting on the shoulders of the members. And they did that. It was like a full cover with all the choreography and everything. And I did write down that there were a lot of cutouts with a lot of S's because JO1 was doing the like, they're the ones that had the like great sweater one shoulder thing, and then some of the shirts were just like zip up shirts which would like come more and more unzipped as they were doing this insane choreography. And it was just very like, oh god, what is gonna happen with that zipper, because that zipper was moving. But then we had i-dle come out. And they were wearing pink, white, and denim sparkly looks. And they started out with Queen Card. And then I have that they did a second booty shaker because there was a lot of literal booty shaking in the choreo.
My bag.
There we go. And they did that kind of to the crowd, like encore style. And then they finished with Tomboy.
My note for i-dle is that all 5 of them were wearing the biggest white sneakers I've ever seen. Like they were already like a big chunky white sneaker, but they had like 3.5-inch platforms on them. So when I was like at my seat, like not looking at the screen, just looking at the little them on the stage, they just looked like tiny Barbie dolls with like giant cartoon feet. Like the shoes were so large. It was like really setting a silhouette.
And they are tiny.
They are tiny.
They are so small.
And I also noted that I think that Soyeon's black hair is like very pretty and a little too powerful. Because she's like blonde so often that like, I don't know, like her with black hair, I was like, oh my goodness.
She does look good with black hair. Absolutely. Then we had the Boyz come out to introduce the Dream stage, which this time had ITZY performing Wannabe with their fans. And then last but not least, we had Stray Kids to close out the night. So the screens came down in order to do a center reveal.
And the lighting was very like, I feel like it was the only time that I really noticed the arena lighting because when they were doing the intro, they had like a blue and red, like a siren spot, like searchlight moment, like going all through the crowd, like, woo, here come the Stray Kids. And it was like, I don't know, it was very epic.
Yeah, it was big. And it was very exciting. Everybody got on their feet. They like couldn't wait. So they started with S Class. And they were wearing like white denim and black looks that were a little bit wild, to be honest. Like the like white lace up boots that looked kind of silly and like not like boxer.
Yes,
but like,
I was gonna say
boxers.
Like boxer boots.
Yeah. And then like Mino.
Bin-chan looked like a Mortal Kombat character almost.
He
was wearing
this,
like a
insane denim vest and like these like high boots. Mino had like a half skirt on. Han's hair was like long and crimpy, which looked very good. And Hyunjin's hair was also black, which I wrote too powerful. Like he has also not had black hair in a while, and that was a lot. After S Class, they did the CCCV game where they played like the pose thing with the fans, and then they did the Hi My First, where they did a look back at their debut. So they had the first KCON trophy, world tour, and then debut song.
I just need a note for the CCCV game, which was when they were doing the test, like, here's an example before we show people in the audience, like Changbin, you and whoever, like, do a pose. And Changbin decided to flex his giant muscles as his pose.
That was the
And
first
that was
pose.
so exciting.
And
for
his
me.
bicep is larger
Than
than
his whole
face.
head.
Yeah. His bicep is so big. And he did it with Hyunjin, who was very scrawny and was wearing long sleeves. And so when Hyunjin had to do the pose, the look he looked at the camera when he like did his tiny bicep was very deadpan and hilarious. But anyway, then they did after the CCCV game, then we got the little VCR of their Hi My First, and then they did District 9, which is their debut song. And then they did Super Bowl and God's Menu, which with the power of Stray Kids alone got us for real on our feet.
Fucking jumped the entire God's Menu. I did not know that I had any energy left in my body, but they brought it all out of me.
I didn't know that I had absorbed so much of that choreography that I could like do the feet and the little like arms in the stands, and I like knew what it was, but I guess I fucking know what it is.
The guys, we were sitting next to the same people, both on Saturday and Sunday. We were sitting in the same seats because they were press seats, and we were sitting next to the same people. And the guys sitting next to us left before the end both nights.
Yeah.
And so they were gone by the Stray Kids set, and we were dancing so hard we had moved over like 3 seats, and then we were like,
me too. But we like sat down, and I was like, just FYI, we're no longer in our same seats, and our purses are not underneath us anymore. Just saying it out loud so we remember. And then the last song, which I didn't write down the title, but it's the one where they go, "We don't give up," and then everybody else screams "fuck."
Isn't that Super Bowl?
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, but then what did they do as their last one?
No, I think that was the last one because they were out in the audience and it was like a whole thing.
Oh, did they go from District 9 to God's Menu and then Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the one that they did like encore style where they like actually ran off the stage and into the stairs and like had a great time like it was their own concert.
I also saw a lot of stays making jokes on TikTok about how apparently at the part where they're not supposed to say fuck, Han did say fuck. Ooh. Or it looked like he lipped it and he was up on the screen. And so lots of people were making jokes about how Bang Chan must have like screamed at him the whole way home for doing that or something. I don't know. I'm not a stay. I don't know what the lore is, but it seemed like that was a problem that he actually said the bad word or something.
Well, as Ian has said on stage about that song, idols are not allowed to curse. So that's why the crowd has to say fuck for them.
I see.
But anyway, yeah, after that was the last song of the night, and then everybody came out for the encore, or for the bows, and I said, let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't stay for waving. I was like, we just gotta go. And thankfully, as soon as we got outside, it was not raining at that moment. Raining. So it was like, get the fuck out of here before the rain starts
and
again.
There wasn't even a line to get out of the parking garage. We were like the first ones out, and it didn't start raining until both of us were home safe and sound. And when we woke up at 2 p.m. the next day, the sun was shining.
Yeah, so much for that hurricane.
We survived the hurricane, and we survived 3 days of concerts.
I've truly never done anything like that in my entire life. Like, I've never gone to a festival. I have never gone to a concert 3 nights in a row. I
have gone to like festivals that are like full day, like out in the sun, watching people all day for 3 straight days, but not since I was in like my early 20s. So it has been a good like 10 years since I've done something like that. And all I got to say is thank God that every year we go, we get fucking seats.
Yeah, I could not stand. And I think it's very nice that at least it seemed like the case all 3 nights that the thing about a KCON compilation-y concert is it feels like nobody feels pressured to stand the entire time.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a lot of up and down, and people might stand for one song and sit for the next one, even if it's the same group. We did that. All the people around us were doing that. And it's just like kind of nice because you don't have that pressure to be like, I need to stand the entire show. Everyone's just a little up and down. Take a load off if you want to. It's okay.
Yeah, which is really nice. That is really nice. I do appreciate that. But it was very funny to be like the only people in our section like losing it for Rain, and like everybody sat down and was just like, so who is that guy? Really?
We were explaining everything to everybody.
Yeah, we really were. But that's the whole concept of our show, so it was fitting.
Yeah. All right, that's it. There is 3 nights of concert recap for you. I hope that was interesting to you in some way, and all of the professional nice Mnet videos of all of this are up already. So go check them out for yourself if any of them sound interesting. They already have the nice professionally filmed versions available for you to watch. And I'll end that here, and then we'll both sleep for a couple of more days because we still really need to recover from this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. No random game. This is just an extra bonus addendum to all the KCON stuff. So we're going to go from here. You know how to find us. If you're listening to this, you know the deal. Yeah, we'll be back next week with a regular episode. Love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Jonghyun, you're our inspiration.